Hey everyone, Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I have a prototype copy of the new Valeria game. It's Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria by Daily Magic Games. For many years now, humans, elves, and dwarves have all been encroaching on your territories and slaying your people in the name of progress. They have their citadels, their keeps, and villages in the locations where you had your home and your sacred spaces as they push you deeper and deeper into the darkness. Now is the time to rally your troops and fight your oppressors and bring forth the reign of the Shadow Kingdom. In the game, players each play as a warden of the Shadow Kingdom, and each of you are tasked with providing yourself to become the next general of the Dark Army. You'll be using certain shrines to visit to find your army to be able to lay siege to these entitled trespassers of Valeria. Only one general will claim the title of general. Will you be the one to outwit your opponents and bring the glory back to the Shadow Kingdoms? As with all Valeria games, their rulebook has a nice laid out graphic of the board and how to set things up, but let me help follow these steps. So the board is placed in the middle of the table. The battle plan cards are shuffled and placed face down on this top slot here, and 5 plans will be placed out face up to fill the remaining 5 slots. This is the battle plans deck, and this is the battle plans line. The gems are placed here on the gem shrine area, and depending on the number of players in the game, there will be a different required number of gems in the game. The dice bag is then filled using this chart here, and depending on the player count, in a 4-player game, you will place 8 dice of each color into the bag. Then you will randomly draw out and roll the indicated number of dice to be placed on each shrine area on the board. So in this 4-player game, I will have drawn and rolled 6 separate dice for each shrine area. The award cards are arranged into 3 decks depending on the number of glowing diamonds on the back side of those cards. And then you will shuffle each of these decks and place 1 card from each deck randomly onto one of the 3 slots. Each game you will always have 3 award cards. Champion cards are arranged into 3 separate decks based on the icon shown on that card. The lightning bolt is an instant effect. The arrows is an ongoing effect, and the hourglass is an in-game effect. Each deck is shuffled and placed face down on this slot, and then the remaining slots towards the left are filled with cards face up. Each player will choose a color and take a player board, a warden, a score tracker, and 10 victory point markers in their chosen color. The victory point markers are then placed on all of the 10 spaces on the player board indicated by a circle. Each player will randomly take a campaign board, and you will place it to the right of your player board. These campaign boards are double-sided, and you can pick either side to play with for this game. Each player will place their warden in the camp area of their player board, and their influence token on the 10 space, a gold token on the 6 space, and a magic token on the 3 space of the track of their player board. Each player will also place their score tracker on the main board, placing it on the 0 to start. The first player will randomly be determined, and they will receive the first player token. And now, in clockwise order, starting with the player to the left of the start player, each player gains 1 extra gold than the previous player. And this will be indicated by moving your gold token on the player board. So in a 4-player game, the starting player will have 6 gold, the next player will have 7 gold, the third player will have 8 gold, and the last player will have 9 gold. Now after you're set up, the game should look something like this. The objective of the game is to visit the shrines on the board, gaining troop dice for battle, and activating shrine powers to give you extra bonuses. You will recruit champions, gain gems and gold to fuel your war machine, and call upon your ancient magic to aid you in your glorious cause. You will scout for battle opportunities and command your troops into battle to conquer the lands and earn victory points. The player with the most victory points at the end of the game will be declared the general of the Dark Army. The game consists of turns, and starting with the start player, each player will take their turn in a clockwise order. And on your turn, you will have to move your warden from its current location to a new location. And there are 6 locations your warden can occupy. One of these areas is the camp on your player board. Now only you can occupy this camp area on your board, but you can share all the other locations on the board with other wardens. Your warden also starts the game here in your camp, but later in the game, you can only move your warden back here if you can complete a battle plan. And you do that by having the depicted dice, or at times having a way to change your dice into the required colors on one of the battle plan cards. The other 5 locations are on the board. Now, there's a shrine location for gems, for magic, for champions, for gold, and for tactics. When your warden moves to one of these locations, you will always take one available die and place it on your player board, and then you can perform the shrine action associated with that shrine. The die you take will affect your total troop strength, and it will give you a possible discount on your shrine action. If there is no dice on one of these locations, then you won't be able to move your warden there. Let's talk a little bit more about the dice. Each face of the die will include different strength. Now, the higher the combined strength of your dice in your troop or army, the more victory points that you'll score. A discount is shown on the bottom left that can be used depending on the shrine that you visit. And the troop type is on the bottom right, which will be important for completing your battle plan cards. The troop type is also the same as the color, and so it might be easier to go off the color, but if you're colorblind, you can always look at the bottom right to see what troop type it is. Goblins, orcs, skeletons, gargoyles, and gnolls. The wild color icon represents any one of the 5 troop types. At the start of your turn, if there is a total of 4 or fewer dice on the game board, then you will return them all to the bag, and starting with the gem shrine and moving clockwise, randomly draw and roll 4 dice from the bag to refill each of the 5 shrines. Also at this time, each face-up champion card on the board is returned to the bottom of its deck, and new champion cards are drawn and placed face-up in its slots. Play will continue until a player completes their 7th battle plan. All players will then take the same amount of turns and the game ends. Players gain bonus victory points from their champion cards and 1 victory point per die on their player board. The player with the most points is the winner and is the new general to the Dark Army. Now that was kind of a good overview of the game, but now let's look into each section of the board or areas of the game, and I'll let you know more about it. So let's first start with your player board. At the beginning of the game, you will place the 10 victory points covering up, those certain areas, and you will be able to unlock those as you get further in the game. After you complete each battle plan by having enough dice to complete it, you'll be able to unlock one of these and place the victory point marker on your campaign board. At the beginning of the game, you will only be able to have 3 champion cards total, and as you fulfill battle plan cards, you'll be able to unlock this ability to have 6 champions and then 10 champion cards. You will place your champion cards to the left of the player board where the gray border area matches the height of those cards. Below is this red border area here. Here you will be placing your completed battle plans. And remember, the game ends when a player completes 7 battle plans. Each player has a special ability that can be unlocked here. When you unlock and move this victory point marker, you can substitute any 1 die per battle plan with a troop type or color that you have mastery over. So in this case, I can make 1 green die change to any other color when accomplishing a battle plan. Here you can only hold 1 gem at a time when you start the game, so unlocking this ability will let you hold up to 3 gems. This is good because these gems are used to flip your die to the opposite side, the opposite face. So a 1 can turn into a 6. And you can also use as many gems as you would like when completing a battle plan. Unlocking this ability will add 1 strength to the total of your troop strength when completing a battle plan, possibly giving you more points. On the bottom of your board, you have areas for reserved battle plans that can be gained by going to the Tactics Shrine and taking its Shrine ability. And I'll explain that here a little bit later, but you will be able to place your reserved battle plans that you have not accomplished yet in one of these 3 areas. Now, at the beginning, you can only take and reserve 1 of these, but as time goes on, you can unlock the ability to hold more. When a battle plan is placed in each slot, then it will trigger its shown ability. So this one says pay a gold to gain 1 influence. This one is pay 2 gold to gain a die of your choice from any shrine on the board. And this one is you need to pay the base cost in gold without having to pay the additional cost for any champion card. All three of these actions can be very powerful depending on your situation. Unlocking this here on your track will let your magic and your gold or your influence be able to move up more than 13, but no higher than 20. So if you haven't unlocked this yet, then if you are at 13 of any of your resources and you take an action or receive a bonus to move up, you won't be able to. Magic and gold are gained and spent throughout the game. Influence can only be gained and never spent, and it is the limiting factor on your total strength when performing a battle at your camp. It would be advisable to bump your influence up while you play the game, but it's not necessary. You can do well without it. But if your influence never moves up and your troop total becomes like 18 from, say, 3 6s, well, then your total strength will not be 18 because your total strength can only be as high as your influence. So your strength will actually be 10 due to your influence. And you can only see that 10 strength scores you 3 points, where 18 on the die could have scored you 15 points. So that's a lot of points that you're missing. The last thing on your player board that you can unlock is your troop spaces. Again, on your turn, you will always first move your warden to a location and take a die in that location and add it to your troop spaces on your player board. You have 3 slots to place dice at the beginning of the game, but you can unlock these spots and be able to place more dice here and be more flexible when completing battle plans. Now, if you take an action and you pick up a die, and there is no space on your player board, then you will have to decide which die that you don't want and place it back into the dice bag. Let's now go over the 5 different shrines on the board, and I'm only going to talk about the shrine actions that you can do after taking your die from each of these locations. Just remember that each time you move a warden to that location, you are going to take a die first. First is the gem shrine. Here you will take a gem and you'll place it on your player board in the gem location. And now if there's no gems here or there's no spaces available on your player board to hold the gem, then you will not be able to take one. Again, these gems will allow you to manipulate your dice, but only when completing a battle plan at your camp. You will be able to return the gem when you use it and return it to the gem shrine, and then you will flip 1 die from your player board onto its opposite side, like turning a 1 into a 6, or a 2 into a 5. Or instead you can return a gem to the shrine to consider 1 die of your choice a wild color for the purpose of satisfying battle plan die color requirements. The Magic Shrine will give you an option of taking one of 2 actions. So you can claim an award or you can gain 2 magic. To take an award, you will have to show that you meet the criteria, and you will take a victory point marker from your player board and you'll place it in the highest available victory point slot on that card, and you will gain that many victory points moving up your marker. Now you will only be able to have one of your victory point markers on each of the award cards, and if there's no open slots on a card anymore, then you won't be able to place one on there. Some awards might require a certain configuration on your campaign board, in which the orientation does not matter, as you can flip or rotate to meet the configuration requirement. The other option is to gain 2 magic, and you'll simply move your magic token forward 2 spaces. Now, anytime during your turn, you will be able to use your magic. Each action that you take by using magic will cost 1 each time that you do it, and you can repeat them as much as you would like. So you can use it to move 1 face-up battle plan to the bottom of the deck, and cards will slide down and will fill in the empty spaces. Or you can move a face-up champion card to the bottom of its deck and place a new one out. Or whenever completing a battle plan at your camp, you can roll up or roll down any 1 die on your player board by 1. The champion shrine is where you're going to buy face-up champion cards, and remember, you get the discount from the die that you took this turn when buying champions. The cost is in gold and is shown on the game board to the left of the row of cards. This cost is called the base cost. And when taking a champion card, you will pay the base cost plus 1 gold for each champion card that you have with the same type that you previously acquired. So the price of these cards will increase as you get more and more of the same ones. So take advantage of your discount and get the more expensive cards You will, however, never get change back if the cost is less than your discount. Champion cards will provide you with ongoing benefits and special abilities. They have different icons that give instant effects, ongoing effects, or a way to gain in-game victory points. Champions will be placed to the left of your player board. The gold shrine will let you gain gold equal to the opposite of the discount value from the die that you took. So if you took a die with a -5 discount, then you gain 5 gold. Just remember to keep enough money to buy the battle plan when you're ready to send your warden back to your camp. The Tactics Shrine lets you pay gold to take a battle plan card from the battle plan line and place it on any open unlocked reserve slot below your player board. If you don't have an open slot, then you won't be able to take a battle plan. The cost of the battle plan is listed on the board to the right of the card, and you will gain the discount from the die that you took this round. Again, you can pay the remaining cost with your gold, but no change will be given if the cost is less than your discount. There are 3 different battle types included in all the battle plans: Ambush, Siege, and Clash. Some champion cards, award cards, and campaign board bonus areas trigger or require certain battle types. All battle plans require 2, 3, or 4 specific colored dice to complete. Battle plans will always slide down and fill in the gaps, and a new one will always be added to the 5 gold spot. So whenever you have enough dice for your troops and you're ready, you can perform a battle at your camp by moving your warden onto the camp location on your player board, and you will be able to battle following a certain order. You will choose a battle plan either in your own reserve below your player board or from the battle line on the game board. If taking it from the battle line, then you must first pay for it with your gold, and doing this also won't activate its reserved battle plan power, but you can still purchase one or use one that you have in your reserves already. You will choose a number of dice from your player board and match the color and quantity of the required dice on the battle plan card. You'll place your chosen dice on the battle plan card, and these are your troops. Remember, you can spend gems or magic at this time to kind of manipulate your dice for added strength. You will add up the total strength from all the dice on the battle plan card, and if your strength is higher than your current influence level, then your strength will be equal to your influence level. You will then add up the total strength from the dice on the battle plan card to be able to determine how many points you get. Again, you cannot have more strength than your influence level. But remember, when adding strength, look at your champion cards or your player board, as you might have added bonuses that can raise that strength up. Since you did so good in battle, you'll be able to level up by selecting one of your victory point markers on your player board and move it on one of the areas of your campaign board. This unlocks a new ability on your player board and can also earn you victory points or chain bonuses from your campaign board. But only one victory point marker is allowed on each area of your campaign board. You will then tally up your victory points earned from completing the battle plan and advance your score marker. So you will gain a certain amount of points of your total strength from your troop, and you will visit this chart in your camp to see how many points you get. And then you will add in any points that you got from your campaign board or any bonuses from ongoing champion cards or anything like that. And you will move your point marker up that many points. You will then gather any chain bonuses from your placement of your victory point marker. So if you have 2 of these next to each other, you'll see that there is a bonus in between them, and you will gain that bonus at this time. Lastly, at the end of battle, return all the dice used to complete the battle plan into the bag and place the battle plan card face up to the left of your player board. Now, when it's your turn next, you can continue adding troops to your board and continue taking shrine action to best situate yourself to become the general. The last thing we haven't checked out in more detail is the campaign board here. There are 9 areas to do battle in and many chain bonuses to have. Placing your victory point marker from your player board onto the campaign board is showing that you succeeded in battle. You'll be choosing which troop bonus to gain when placing your victory point marker on one of these. The 9 circles are the troop bonuses that you will have by scoring these added points only when covering them with a victory point marker, so you won't be able to score them again ever. So choose the ones that might score you the most points for that battle by planning on using certain battle plan cards according to their battle plan type, or required troop types, or winning a battle with 15 or more strength, whatever the requirement is. You will want to also pay attention to the award that is laid out. So you can score added points by placing your victory point markers in a certain orientation. And of course, if you do that configuration, then you will need to visit the Magic Shrine, and you can do the award action to claim that award. This campaign board gives you plenty of ways to score a couple points here and a couple points there, but altogether, it's a big amount of points. Now, you see these black diamonds? These are the chain bonuses that you can possibly gain as well, and whenever the 2 adjacent troop bonuses are covered, then you will gain and score the chain bonus. Bonuses consist of gaining champion cards, influence, magic, gold, gems, or gaining a die from any shrine location. As you can see, there are plenty of areas to focus on in the game, and you won't be able to do absolutely everything. So strategies will drastically be different from player to player and from game session to game session. Even during the game, strategies will change. Opportunities will appear with desired battle plan cards that match the available dice, or champion cards that will add desired bonuses to fulfill your plan to eventually become the general of the Dark Army. Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria has a lot of things I like to see in a game, and it offers a great experience. And these choices ultimately will challenge your brain each time to see if you can do the puzzle better each time, although a slightly different puzzle because the game is never the same. So first of all, these player boards have 10 victory point slots, and eventually they are unlocked, and your character is leveling up, and you're going to be able to do more. You can pick the order and how you want to unlock these. So sometimes this will be a hard choice because you will need to unlock more than one for what you are planning to do next, but each spot seems to add a bonus that is substantial enough to make this choice hard to make every time. Also, you can only unlock these or level up when you go to battle using a battle plan card, or later in the game when you are deciding to win awards. Now, do you try to fight some battles with only 2 troop dice requirement to boost your player board quicker than others? But by doing this, you might be losing possible points by gaining the battle plan cards with more dice requirements on them. But then again, you are capped at 10 strength at the beginning of the game because of your influence anyway, so strategies can differ greatly from player to player. Let's talk about that little influence marker there, though. So this is a cool way to cap your strength each time and make it important to increase your marker on the board. If you look at the total strength chart to see how many points you will score, you can see how you really can score a lot of points when having a higher strength. But that will also take a lot of planning and other resources to achieve that as well. So you can only move this influence marker by visiting the battle plan shrine and spending a coin to move it up, or you can receive them at times with your chain bonuses. Or there's actually one champion card, the Elite Guard, who has an instant effect that you will gain 2 of your influence. But during the game, at times, it can be hard to move that marker up. And then you have to make sure that you unlock that victory point marker on that 14 spot on the board, because you don't want to gain influence and not be able to move it up. So due to the influence marker, it makes the choice of what die you pick harder to make, because you don't necessarily want to just get the biggest number die, because really you can take a lower number die, you can gain a discount because of it from that shrine action, and still be able to score the same amount of points when doing battle. But then you also need to play the color or troop type game trying to match those up. At the beginning of the game, you only have 3 slots for dice, and so you don't really have room for dice that aren't going to be used for your battle plan until later in the game. When you get those unlocked, you can be a little more flexible. So besides taking the victory point markers off of your player board to unlock new abilities, you will also be deciding on how to place those on the campaign board. This is kind of like another part of the game. You have the places on the board to give you more points right then and there. You have the configuration from the award card that you should make and gain extra points from. And you have the potential chain bonuses that you can unlock to give you a good push in an area that you might need. So you have to make a decision as to which victory point to move off of your player board and another decision as to where to place it on your campaign board. The game isn't overly complex, but you just have a lot of decisions to make, and these decisions can change how your plans are and change your strategy. Visiting a shrine will allow you to take one of the dice on that location, and as well, you will take the action associated with that shrine. So on your turn, you will be looking as to which die you want to take, but also what action you want to take as well. The dice slowly become more scarce as players will take one each time, and so your choices at sometimes become slimmer and slimmer. But when there are 4 dice or fewer on the board, you'll be able to fill up those shrines again. The gems are awesome because it provides you a way to take a low number so that you can use a big discount in that shrine action, and then you can just use the gem to flip it to a high number after all for your battle strength. The awards don't seem hard, but what happens is it's a race, first of all, to get them, because the faster you get them done, the more points you get. But really what happens, what the problem is you have to visit the shrine after completing the goal in order to place a victory point marker on the award card. And if you achieved all these awards at the very end of the game, then you would still need to make stops at the shrine to claim all those rewards. And that is really hard to do, especially when you are still picking up troops to battle with, and those troops might not be in that shrine area. Champion cards can hugely help form your strategy. Picking up a cheap card for a one-time bonus, or a champion that gives you an ongoing effect, can hugely pay itself off. But the most important cards at the end of the game are the in-game scoring cards, and they'll give you the most points. Just make sure that you take a card that you will actually score points with, because you could pick up one of these and still not be able to score any of the points depending on how you play the game. Ultimately, I feel like the game offers a very strategic game without being overly complicated, with so many different modifications that you can change with decisions playing the game. Again, the art from the Meeple is great. I feel like the game is 1 or 2 notches higher in complexity than any of the other Valeria games, but this might just be my favorite yet. The game is about the Dark Army and taking their lands back, and the game is great, but really the theme could be anything Valeria. But I still think the theme is great, I think it's a great choice, and it follows the story and the world of Valeria. So gather your troops, hire your champions, and get your battle plans ready as you fight to become the general of the Dark Army in Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria by Daily Magic Games. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.